Some of the best horror stories don't need any monsters or jump scares. Sometimes all you need is a baby monitor and one impossible sound. We're about to break down a story that absolutely masters the art of terror, building suspense and laying a trap with a twist that'll stick with you. So, let's dive in.
The story kicks off with this single, perfect line. And it's not about ghosts, it's not about a dark past, it's about distance. Right away, this establishes the core vulnerability. See, in horror, distance equals helplessness. The author is basically telegraphing the central fear from the very first sentence. You're not going to get there in time.
And, of course, it happens in the dead of night. 2:13 a.m. isn't just a time on a clock, it's a whole mood. It's that hour of absolute stillness, when you're completely, utterly alone with your thoughts, and any sound that dares to break that silence feels 10 times louder.
Great horror almost always starts with the normal, so the story grounds us in a really relatable, everyday situation, a tired dad on baby duty. This sense of the mundane is so crucial. It's the foundation that makes the crack in reality, when it comes, so much more terrifying.
The author just layers this scene with such subtle dread. You've got the exhausted parents, the quiet baby, all totally normal. But then, you get the monitor hissing like a snake and the clock staring with unblinking red eyes. That personification is brilliant. It injects this feeling of being watched right into an ordinary room.
And here we go. This is it. This is the moment it all starts. The story has carefully built this quiet, normal little world, and now it's about to absolutely shatter it with a single, impossible sound.
A calm, paternal voice comes through the monitor. For just a split second, it's confusing. It's a soothing phrase, exactly something a father would say. But David is in bed. He didn't say it. This is the moment that confusion crystallizes into pure horror. It's not a stranger's voice, it's his voice. He is hearing himself speak from a room that he is not in. This is that classic doppelganger trope, right? The terrifying idea of a perfect copy of you existing somewhere it just shouldn't be.
And there it is. That's the central question that propels the entire story forward. The author plants us directly inside David's panicked mind, forcing us to ask the same terrifying question he is. Who is with his son?
So, just as David is trying to wrap his head around this impossible sound, the story escalates. It cranks it up a notch. The threat is no longer just something you hear, it becomes terrifyingly visual, confirming his absolute worst fears right there on that grainy screen.
Let's just break this down. It's this terrifying paradox. You have the real David, frozen in his bed, and then on the monitor, you have a figure that looks like him, is wearing his clothes, and is comforting his child. It's both him and not him. An impossible duplication that just defies all logic.
And then this chillin' line. Wow, this is a huge turning point. The figure on the screen isn't just some passive thing anymore. It turns to the camera. It knows it's being watched. It's aware of them, and it's communicating directly. The thing in the nursery, it's hunting.
Now this is a really crucial detail. The author includes this to just eliminate any doubt in our minds. This isn't a cross signal, it's not a technical glitch. The voice echoing down the hall proves there is a real, physical presence in the house.
Okay, at this point, the tension is just unbearable, right? So the story does something very clever. It gives us a fake out, a false climax. It builds that tension to a breaking point and then seems to resolve it, which is a classic misdirection technique to set us up for the real shock.
David's fear just instantly flips into adrenaline. He grabs a weapon, tells his wife to call for help, and he just charges down that hallway. The pacing here's frantic, pulling us right into his desperate, terrified rush. And nothing. The room is empty. The baby is safe. The intruder is gone. This sudden stop creates this incredible sense of whiplash for both David and for us. All that tension just evaporates, and it's replaced by utter confusion. What in the world just happened?
David shouts this back to Elena, and in this moment, we all feel this wave of false relief. We're led to believe the danger has just mysteriously passed. We let our guard down, just like David does, and that is exactly where the story wants us.
Because everything that's happened so far, the voice, the figure, the empty room, that wasn't the main event. Oh no, that was all just a setup. Now, we're gonna deconstruct the trap as it finally springs shut.
Elena's scream cuts through the monitor, and then it's just
Cut off. The horror hasn't passed. It just moved. It was never in the nursery to begin with.
And here it is, the final devastating piece of the puzzle. The camera was a microphone, not a speaker, so David could hear everything in the nursery, but no one in the nursery could hear him. This one tiny detail changes absolutely everything.
Let's just break down the chilling logic. The intruder used David's voice as bait to lure the protector out of the room. That line, "Mommy's awake now too?" That wasn't a threat. It was a confirmation that the trap was working, and that the primary target, Alina, was now isolated. Once David was gone, the intruder could attack.
This is the horrifying truth. Those soothing words, spoken in David's voice, were never for the baby. They were a calculated maneuver, a weapon used with terrifying intelligence to separate the parents and leave one of them completely defenseless.
And the story just cuts to black, leaving David alone in the nursery holding a useless camera while the real horror unfolds down the hall. We're left with one final, dreadful question to ponder in the silence. What happens next?